Normally I'm here like a half an hour beforehand, but our meeting just kept on.
Still planning to do the singing bowl?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to do the singing bowl?
Oh, yeah.
Good morning. It's good to be here with you. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Clemson. I'm Karl and I'm a member of the UU Fellowship of Clemson's Worship Associate team. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, wherever you were born, whatever language you speak, you are welcome here. Whatever your skin color, whatever your class background, whatever your range of abilities, you are welcome here. Whatever your beliefs, whatever your politics, whatever your theology, you are welcome here. We are so glad that you chose our fellowship as your place of worship this morning. If you're joining us for the first time this morning, welcome. If you are a visitor and would like to stand and tell us who you are welcome to do so. After the service, we gather for coffee and social connection in the social room. Please join us. If you are interested in receiving our weekly newsletter so you can get connected to our community, our weekly sharing of joys and concerns, and our collective efforts to support local social justice work, please reach out to the office by email or on our website. Finally, I would like to extend a welcome to our online visitors. There are a few announcements that I would like to make, and the announcements in large measure are on the back of your order of service. The few that I would like to draw your attention to are, today is the deadline to sign up for Circle Dinners, which is hosted by Jackie Renzi. If you want to, join the Buddhist class today at noon after the service. And I have been instructed to go against my grain and give an enthusiastic announcement for the camp out at the Coney State Park on Friday, August 15th to the 17th.
Good morning. Our opening words are "To Be a Unitarian Universalist" by Erica Hewitt. To be a Unitarian Universalist means we'll never be done with the work of telling the truth about oppression, the work of resisting any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity, the work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine, each in each other, no matter what, and the work of creating heaven on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist means also that we are not alone in the work. We are not alone because of our promises to one another. We are not alone because we are companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free, because none of us is truly free until all of us are free. Let us rise in mind, body, or spirit and sing hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
Being young of heart, Carrie has volunteered to light the chalice. Thank you. Please join me in saying our affirmation. We gather together in a spirit of love, with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another.
Before I begin with our time for all ages for this morning, I just want to note that we remain on our summer schedule for our children's programming. So children are welcome to remain in the sanctuary for the entirety of the service. The nursery is open. Children 12 and under may go there if they like. And following Joys and Concerns, I will be in the back classroom with some craft activities and other things. And there's also a quiet reading nook as well. So having said that, this morning's Time for All Ages are the words of a person who will be familiar to a lot of you. This is Something Someday, written by Amanda Gorman, illustrated by Christian Robinson. You are told that this is not a problem, but you're sure there's something wrong. You are told that this cannot be fixed, but you know that you can help. You are told that this is too big for you, but you've seen the tiniest things make a huge difference. You're told that this won't work, but how will you know if you never try? You're told to sit and wait, but you know people have already waited too long. You're told that what's going on is very, very sad. You're scared and confused. You're angry. And maybe, just maybe, a little hopeful. You're told not to hope, but you keep hoping anyway. Sometimes you feel like you're all alone, but someday, somewhere, you find a friend. Someone who will hope with you, who believes in your dream, someone who will fight with you. You make a promise to each other. You say, there is a problem, but it's our problem together, so we can fix it together. This problem is big, but together we are bigger. You make another friend and tell them, it's okay to be sad. And they tell you, sometimes we'll lose, but that's all right. We'll try again. And so you do. Together, working. Together, beginning. Over and over and over and over. Until you're no longer beginning, you're winning. Suddenly, there's something you're sure is right. Something you know you helped fix. Something small that changed something big. Something that worked. Something that makes you feel hopeful, happy, and loved. Something that is not a dream, but the day you live in. Something that makes you smile as you tell someone else.
This is a time we set aside for the offering in order to give toward the financial vitality of this community. Also, 25% of the undesignated collection each week goes to an organization in the local community that we partner with. For this month, I guess I don't have it. Habitat for Humanity, thank you. For the month, each week we also collect non-perishable food for the Clemson Community Cares Food Bank. You may also give by going to the UUFC website and using the donate button. There you will see options for paying your pledge and donating towards the organizations we partner with. Thank you for your generosity. This is the time that we share our joys and concerns. This is a sacred sharing, reminding us of our connection to community and the knowledge that we are not alone. I've asked Mary to place a stone into this vessel representing our shared community for each of the joys and concerns that are shared. Mike Cole is sharing, Jane and I are delighted to be back in Clemson after visiting friends and relatives in Wisconsin and Illinois during the past 2 weeks. Carrie has a share that Jim's children and grandchildren would like to wish him a very happy 87th birthday today. Carol has a joy. Carol's friends tell us that Carol Ward is accepting cards and visits during her rehab at Lila Doyle in room 102. She accepts texts too. Carol is doing well as she recovers from her broken leg. Tom Hiebel has a joy, and that is that today is Karen's birthday. Should we sing happy birthday? And then the final stone is for those joys and concerns held closer to the heart, and for those who are not with us this morning.
So, for our meditation this morning, they have the words of Katie Candren Morris, and it's called Hoping, Trusting for So Many Things. Here we have come into this sacred space, quieter now with our readiness, hushed voices, hoping, trusting for so many things, for connection, for communion, for inspiration, for information, for healing, for wholeness, for words, for music, for celebration and consolation. Here we have come into this space, bringing all of who we are. Let us be willing, however we are, changed. Let us rise in mind, body, or spirit, or you could sit for this one, I think. Yeah, let's sit for this one. It's Woyoya, I'm not exactly sure how to say it, but it's number 1020 in the Teal hymnal. You'll notice a bit of a theme as I read this poem. It's adapted from Walt Whitman, and it was adapted in our 1964 hymnal, the one before this one. and it's called Song of the Open Road. So we're kind of figuring out, where are we going? All right? And Whitman has a lovely way of speaking his poetry. I hope I can do it justice. And this is not the whole poem, because that would take quite a while. All right, so the open road, Song of the Open Road. Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road, healthy, free, the world before me. The long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Henceforth I seek not good fortune, I myself am good fortune. Strong and content I travel the open road. I inhale great draughts of space. The east and the west are mine. The north and the south are mine. All seems beautiful to me. I can repeat over to men and women, you have done such good to me. I would do the same to you. Whoever you are, come, travel with me. However sweet these laid up stones, however this convenient this dwelling, we cannot remain here. However sheltered this port, and however calm these waters, we must not anchor here. Together the inducement shall be greater. We will sail pathless and wild seas. We will go where the winds blow, waves dash, and the Yankee clipper speeds by under full sail, forward after the great companions, and to belong to them, onward to that which is endless as it was beginningless, to undergo much, tramps of days, rest of nights, to see nothing anywhere but what you may reach it and pass it, to look up or down on no road, but it stretches and waits for you, to know the universe as a road, as many roads, as roads for traveling souls.
Our speaker this morning is the Reverend Dr. Jean Heriot. She, her, is a UU community minister and member of the Aiken UU Church. She co-founded the SUUU Justice, which is the South Carolina Justice Alliance, with the Reverend Dr. Pippin Whitaker in 2021. She currently serves as the Director of Organizing and Training for SUJA. Prior to moving to South Carolina in 2020, Reverend Heriot taught religion and anthropology at Santa Clara University in Santa Clara, California, and at Hastings College in Hastings, Nebraska. She grew up in South Carolina and has extended family throughout the state. Welcome, Reverend Heriot.
Thank you. So it's really good to be here again. I think this is my third time being with you folks. And I know that I've met many of you either in person or on Zoom as we do this work of justice. I'll hang around in the coffee hour. Love to chat with you about anything that you can think of. Since I'm a former professor, I know how to talk. All righty, so as you know, I am a community minister from the Aiken UU Church, and I'm here as a representative of our South Carolina UU Justice Alliance. Now, we call it SCUJA to rhyme with scuba. So say it after me, SCUJA. SCUJA, okay. All right, that's who we are. And what I decided to talk to you about today, there's just so many things I could have chosen, but I wanted to start off with the overwhelming problems that we're facing today, and then talk about the ways that you, I, UUs, other folks can work together to bring about our UU value of transformation. Ways we can walk together as companions, like traveling on that road, figuring out where we're going to go, taking that one next step. So let's start with the bad, the very, very bad. And some would even say the evil that is around us today. I recently read the historian Timothy Snyder's book on tyranny, and in it he analyzes what's happened to our nation. Our founding fathers, he says, were wary of tyranny, which they thought of as, quote, the usurpation of power by a single individual or group, or the circumvention of law by rulers for their own benefit. We can fill in the blank here, can't we? So Snyder has been widely critical of President Trump and warned only early on that his lies would lead to tyranny. And he wrote his first book, this book on tyranny in 2016, but it became a bestseller again after he was reelected. And Snyder thinks democracy is not possible in a society, again, quote, divided between the true believers and everybody else. To have a democracy, we really do need to know the truth. And we also need to know history. We need to know how things have changed and how they can change again. In his second term, many UUs see Trump's actions even more clearly as tyranny destroying democracy. We can trace how the current administration is doing this by reading the news, by looking to Timothy Snyder's book, or to the analysis of another historian that I follow, and probably many of you do, Heather Cox Richardson. And they have excellent commentary. Perfect. When they wrote our Constitution, they allowed people to legally own slaves. The only people who could vote were white property owners, and they supported many wars against Native Americans as they took their land. So we've had to do constant advocacy as a nation, those of us concerned with justice, to bring about what Abraham Lincoln called a more perfect union. We worked to bring an end to slavery, to bring about women's suffrage, to create civil rights for African Americans, to work with Native peoples. So our nation has never, ever been perfect. And now we need a new vision, because the old way, even before Trump, was not working for a lot of people. Global inequality on the scale we see here and elsewhere is a direct result of our economic and political systems. We've had problems. I saw you folks collecting for food. We've had problems feeding people in our country, right? That's why we're collecting food. We have problems providing health care and education. We have problems keeping our communities safe. And this has been going on for quite a while. So we need massive change, but we need it in a different direction than the one it's going in right now, because it seems to me, and I think to most UUs, that we're headed towards more harm, more hate, and more racism under this current administration. But we can change that. And that's where our UU value of transformation enters the picture. So we recently passed Article 2, and it has that lovely flower with love in the center and the values surrounding it. One of those values is transformation. And here's what Article 2 says of it. We adapt to the changing world. I'm going to say that again. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages. It's never complete and never perfect. We aspire to this value, but many of us find it hard to be welcoming of change. I've recently talked to some folks who said they watch the news and it's so bad that they feel like they can't even leave the house. I don't know if you know anybody like that, but you get so depressed, you're like, ugh. And some others have said, it's so bad, I'm not gonna take in the news anymore. And some like me will say, well, I wanna know what's going on, but I don't wanna watch those commentators and talking heads, I'm just gonna read it. So part of the design of the current administration is to overwhelm us with change, deeply unwelcome change. It's usually called flood the zone. So, it's one thing, and then there's another thing, and then there's another thing, and you just go, whoa. So it's a way to distract us, to keep us from being focused. Now, I'm going to have to confess, I find it hard to like change sometimes. When I decided to go to graduate school back in 1979, I had a lot of moments of excitement, but I was also deeply scared. I grew up in rural South Carolina, and I was headed for Los Angeles to go to graduate school at UCLA. And, I was like, am I smart enough? Can I do it? Can I even drive across the country by myself? Which I had to do. And, it took me a full 2 years to get used to that humongous city. How do you make a left turn across 3 lanes of traffic? And then I was very young, and I would spend $5 on gas for my car, and then guess what? It'd run out while I was on the road. And so somebody would have to push me, and I got to the point where okay, that's really stupid. I can change, I'll buy a full tank of gas. Talk about clueless, I was clueless. And I expect that you too have stories of change that both excited you and scared you. Those of you who have children, how about bringing your first child home from the hospital? That can be really exciting and really scary. Or perhaps as you've gotten older, like me, you get mad at your body because when you get up in the morning, it doesn't act the way it's supposed to. It's changed. Sometimes you have to have a cane, and you're like, I wish I didn't have to do this. So change can be kind of hard to accept. But this larger change, this change that we're experiencing as a country, is also really hard because it's so widespread and so much of it goes against our values. We need that openness to change to be able to adapt as our values challenge us to do. How? Well, I'm going to focus on skuja as part of the response. And I'm going to start with, and I know this has been in your newsletter, so you may have seen it. We have a Faithify campaign, that's a UU crowdfunding campaign, that SCUJA launched to fight against book banning in South Carolina. We have another terrible leader quality. We lead the nation in the number of banned books, the whole nation. We have 21 banned books in all of our K-12 schools, and another one is restricted. The State Board of Education is now run by a Moms for Liberty ally that has banned these books, and there's a list of 140 that they're looking at. So what are we doing to fight back? Well, we hope to get the funds so that we can provide congregations with a choice of whichever banned books you want to have on your shelves. But every congregation, we hope, will have a banned bookshelf. We're going to host book groups to talk about what's being suppressed and to advocate for ways of fighting book banning. And I know that there are folks in this congregation who are definitely working on that in your community. So we have a QR code, which, yeah, if you want to donate, you can take a quick pic, or we have some of the QR codes out on the opportunity table. And our campaign goes through August 21st, and I just heard this morning, I haven't looked, but Holly said it was about 3210 out of 5,000, so we're getting there. It's an all or nothing campaign. So here's another thing that we have. We have started action teams. And I know that you folks have teams here that you work on various justice issues. We have 6 action teams that work on issues across our state. And what we would like for you to be, if you're willing, and we don't, you know, there's all kinds of ways you can join. You know, you don't have to join, and as one of my friends says, do I have to be the leader? And I'm like, no, you don't have to be the leader. You can join and do something. We'd love, if you want to lead, go for it. But, you know, you can join, you can tell the congregation what's happening, you can find out things that are going on across our state. So our 6 action teams are climate justice, democracy and voting, economic justice, which includes things like health care and fighting the Medicaid bans and SNAP bans, immigration justice, which is now huge, LGBTQ justice, and racial justice. So what do? We monitor, when the state legislature's in session, we monitor the bills. We try to fight the really bad ones. And sometimes even if we can't completely fight them, we can make them less bad, which is sometimes our biggest win, is a less bad bill. Because, for example, none of the trans bills this year that were proposed passed. And that was because people showed up and showed up and showed up at the state capitol, and there were so many people, and they just sort of like didn't want to hear it, you know. One time I showed up and they decided they weren't going to take any talking points. So it matters if we do that kind of work. You can write a postcard saying, like, don't cut Medicaid funds in our state. You can take an anti-racist workshop and figure out how your congregation can be more welcoming. And I know that you have a welcoming congregation recertification plan going right now. So you can find out all these things about our issues. We break it down for you, and we have a lot of partners, like the South Carolina ACLU and the South Carolina NAACP and the Conservation Voters of South Carolina. I could go on and on. We've got about 20 or more. And so they give us information. You can help, but you don't have to do it alone. We're all companions here, walking together. I put sign-up sheets, well, actually Holly put them on the opportunity table. for all of those 6 groups. You can sign up and, we can have a conversation about what you might like to do. I think, and here's part of what I think is really, really important, there's power in our united voices. As we work together, we can speak up and say what we believe in. How many of you have attended at least one rally since this year? Ooh, look at that. Big celebration. Whew. There's a scholar out there who says if we can get 3.5% of our population on the streets, we can make huge changes. And we're getting close. So keep doing that. Keep figuring out where we can take a stand. Timothy Snyder's first chapter on tyranny is entitled, "Do Not Obey in Advance." He notes that most of the power of authoritarianism is freely given. Individuals will think about what does the government want and then offer to do what the administration wants, even without being asked. And many of us are pretty frustrated with our elected officials because, frankly, a lot of them seem, I've heard the term spineless. And I think some women delivered spines, plastic spines to some of our state legislators. Like, grow a spine, people. So they aren't. They're just obeying in advance. And they seem to give in to every demand. And Snyder says we too might do that. We might not think about what it means to be giving in to authoritarianism. So Skuja and this church and your companions can help you reflect on what's going on and help you work not to give in and instead to defend our institutions. Here's one example about what is happening regarding immigration in our state. The South Carolina ACLU has hired an immigration specialist, and they have told me, you may have seen it, some of our SC politicians, including some of those running for governor, have said they would like to build an alligator Alcatraz here in South Carolina. And if you've been following the news, you know that the conditions in Florida are terrible and inhumane. And all this cruelty is being directed at people who in many cases have not been convicted of a single crime. They're just being persecuted. The ACLU has launched a hotline to report ICE issues in the Charleston area, and this past Thursday, they were in Greenville because they're getting ready to do an upstate hotline. And that will include the Clemson area. So our Skuja immigration team works with the South Carolina ACLU to figure out what things we can do. I know you folks have red cards. You can hand those out to immigrants so that they know their rights. You can work with the ACLU. They're trying to monitor what's happening in every community because ICE wants your sheriff's office and your police officers to join them in arresting people. And some communities are fighting back against that. So, you can find also, and here's another, this is going to be totally shameless, but I don't care. We are having our fall festival, our Skuja Fall Festival on October 4th in Columbia at the UU congregation. This is our 3rd annual fall festival. We've got plans for justice issue meetings, action team meetings, and fun things for kids, like drumming sessions with a drummer. He's bringing drums to teach you to drum. We have puppets, making, sign making, good food, more things than you can do starts at around 10 on Saturday and ends at 4:30. So if you can find the time to come. One of the things that I find about that is I think it's important to have the physicality of knowing that you're not alone. You know, Walt Whitman talks about walking together with the companions. When you gather, to me, the first time we did this in 2023, I think was when we had the first one. Anyway, we had a banner parade. And it was really nice to see the 10 UU churches and their banners in the opening ceremony, because it says, I'm one of 10. I am not alone in this. I can sit here, I can see the banners, I can hear the music, I can be a part of something larger. And that's many times why we come to church, to be a part of that larger group. So if you can make it, it would be great to see you there. And carpool, environmentally good, right? Since change is hard, and we're under such an onslaught of changes, there's one silver lining I want to suggest, and this is maybe a little off topic, but I don't really think so. I think our democracy was in danger before 2024, even before 2016. We've headed down a path that has exacerbated the differences between the haves and the have-nots. According to researchers, and this one is from the Pew Research Group, the U.S. has one of the most unequal income distributions in the developed world, even after taxes and social welfare policies are considered. This pattern has meant that so many in our country feel left behind. They feel silenced and unheard, even if they did speak. And we can rail against people who we think voted against their own interest, but there were reasons for their discontent. Are there ways now that we can truly envision a transformed world? A world where we can actually remake society, not go back to what we had, but remake it in a way that we will change things for the better, radically for the better. Maybe, and this is kind of not sure of, maybe these onslaught of changes are making our world more unequal and inequitable, has created a push for us to be able to make changes. And remember, I'm not asking, and Scooge is not asking us to do the work alone. We're saying, join us and see what we can build together as UUs who value transformation into a more just world. Sign up for our newsletter. Donate to our Faithify campaign. Join an action team. Again, those are on your opportunity table. Come to Columbia on October 4th. We can adapt to change in powerful ways. And here's what Snyder says at the very end of his book, and I want you to remember it, okay? Snyder ends his book with, "This is not the end, but a beginning." This is not the end, but a beginning. May we too embrace this transformation, this time of change, as a beginning. And we're going to sing together hymn 146, "Soon the Day Will Arrive." I'm not sure if you folks know it, but we sang it at Aiken not too long ago, and I fell in love with it, so hopefully you'll like it too. So it's 146, "Soon the Day Will Arrive." Our closing words are by Michelle Collins. Changes abound. Changes abound around us, within us, between us, in our communities, our neighborhoods, and our beloved faith communities. Changes abound. May we each find the balance point we need as we move through our ever-changing world. The balance between the old and the new, between the known and the unknown, between the familiar and the perhaps bold and risky possibilities that may be there waiting. May it be so.